Just, come on, buddy. Get out of the shop, man. There we go. What's up, guys? Alright, this is the next chapter in obtaining or renewing my carry permit in Pennsylvania. Got this paper in the mail today, so I want to read it to you. Some interesting things on here. And then I'm going to be leaving, actually in a couple minutes I'm going to leave to go down to pick it up, because I got to go pick it up in person. So here we go, I get this letter, and it says, permit must be picked up within 3 weeks of receiving this letter. Office hours, blah, blah, blah. The amount due, one check or money order for the amount of $14 made payable to Pike County Sheriff's Office, and $1 cash. Exact change, please. I don't know why it's like that. It's 15 bucks. I don't know why they want to make you or want you to do it like that, but so be it. All right, dear licensee, you've applied for and have been granted a license to carry a concealed firearm as provided in Senate Bill 245, Section 6109. At this time, your final payment for your permit is due. You must come to our office and personally pick up your permit. It will not be released to anyone else. You do not need to bring this letter with you. Okay. As your sheriff and issuing authority, I feel the duty to offer some words of caution and advice. Our investigation of your reputation and behavior has produced no adverse information sufficient to deny your permit. In other words, to the best of our knowledge, you are a responsible and law-abiding resident of Pike County, and your action, especially when carrying a firearm, should attest to this fact. Your permit to carry a concealed firearm is a privilege, not a right. That will get a lot of people up in arms, no pun intended. But yes, according to law, it's not a right, it's a privilege. It says, let me read that again. Your permit to carry a concealed firearm is a privilege and not a right. It is subject to revocation. It can be revoked. Revocation. Be nice if I can read, huh? Should you abuse it and trust that it entails. Here are some things you should consider. All right, so basically the saying is that, look, you screw up, we're going to take it away. That's what it comes down to. Some things to consider. Number one, are you familiar with the safe handling, care, and operation of your firearm? Yes, I am. If not, you should be trained in such by a responsible and competent individual. Otherwise, you represent a potentially deadly threat to yourself and fellow citizens. Unfortunately, the law does not require such training. Therefore, it is your own responsibility to take the necessary steps to acquire it. I like that. That's nice. They're basically saying, you know what? You don't need to do this, but you really should. And I agree with that 100%. Number two, over and unnecessary display of your firearm in public places can cause alarm and adverse reaction by your fellow citizens and create embarrassing situations which could result in the revocation of your permit. All right, this is an interesting one. Basically, without directly saying it, they're kind of talking about the fact of openly brandishing your firearm. Well, maybe brandishing is not the correct word here. What's the exact words they use? Unnecessary display of your firearm in public places. Some people might consider that open carry. And although open carry in Pennsylvania is completely legal, they're kind of dissuading you from that. And they're saying that, yes, we understand that in certain situations you're allowed to do this. It doesn't necessarily make it right. And this is something honestly I'm on the fence about, and I've always been on the fence about, and a lot of people aren't going to like this, but I'm going to say it because it's my honest opinion. I'm for open carry, but since the beginning of carrying a firearm, when I first got into guns, I was all about, my rights and everything else, and I still am about my rights, and I'm all for rights because rights give you options. You don't have to necessarily use your rights, but it's good to have them, and if you don't fight for your rights, you will lose them. But I still can honestly admit that there are certain situations that open carry is not necessary, and it will cause problems. Just because you do have the right to do something doesn't necessarily mean you should be doing something. I have the right to wear extremely tiny shorts and have the bottom of my ass cheeks hanging out of them, but I don't want to do that for many reasons, and it would cause somewhat of a public disturbance. Like I said, I'm pro-guns. I always will be pro-guns. I'm always pro-right. I'm for people carrying, openly. It's just there are, and all of you have to admit, there are certain situations where it may not be your best option, let's just say, because it may cause more harm than good, even though it's your right to do so, just like me and my tiny little shorts, which I don't actually own. It's my hypothetical tiny shorts. It just may not be a good thing. even though it's my right. So anyway, they throw that in there, basically saying, you know, hey, don't be just showing off your gun all the time because you might be causing some problems, even if you're allowed to. All right. Number 3, you should have knowledge of the laws pertaining to deadly force and the legally justified use of a firearm under Pennsylvania statute. An improper or careless decision can expose you to criminal prosecution and or civil liability. Okay, that's another good one just to know. Number 4, your permit does not exempt you from obeying any local statutes or ordinances governing behavior with firearms. Another good one. Over. Let's turn her over. Number 5, keep in mind the very fact that you are carrying a firearm creates the possibility of it being taken from you and used against you or another person. Should be straightforward, but something they're reminding you of. Number 6, remember when traveling out of state that your permit is valid only in Pennsylvania. Now, they do this for law purposes, or legal purposes rather, but yes, the Pennsylvania concealed carry permit is actually valid in multiple states. It's just up to you to recognize that, so they can't just openly say it is. Number 7, when you are not carrying a firearm, it should be securely stored in a safe, in an unloaded condition, and out of sight of reach of children and visitors, with ammunition in a separate location. All right, number 8, alcohol, certain medications, and any controlled substances should not be indulged in when carrying a firearm. Avoid locations where alcoholic beverages are served when carrying a firearm. Remember, even if you are not drinking, others are, and inhibitions are affected. Okay. Number 9, a concealed firearm license does not confer law enforcement powers. Anyone giving false impressions that they are armed in a law enforcement capacity will be subject to immediate license revocation and criminal prosecution. Common sense would indicate that the constant carrying a concealed firearm is not necessary and should restrict such activity to those situations that require it. That's kind of opinion there, but anyway. If you are employed, number 10, if you are employed as a private security guard or watchman, your license does not exempt you from Pennsylvania requirements for certification under Act 235, which is a Lethal Weapons Training Act. You are in violation of the law if you carry a firearm in the course of such duty unless you have been properly certified under the Act. Certification information can be obtained from the Pennsylvania State Police. What they're saying is if you're like a security guard and your security guard position as your job does not involve a firearm, you can't, as a citizen, carry that firearm while you're working. That's all that's basically saying. Number 11, your permit is not a hunting license and does not exempt you from obtaining a Pennsylvania hunting and or fishing license in order to engage in such activities. Number 12, significant changes made to Title 186109 relating to a PA license to carry as follows. Individuals are now required to notify the sheriff if they become ineligible after a license is issued to them, i.e. active PFA, DUI, or any arrests or convictions. All right, so that's new. Basically, if you do something that's supposed to revoke your carry permit, you are required in the law to let the sheriff's office know so they can take it away. These are only a few of many considerations you should keep in mind. If you use common sense at all times, you will never abuse the awesome responsibility that you have assumed as a possessor of a concealed firearm permit. I love that. The awesome responsibility that you have assumed as the possessor of a concealed firearm permit. Philip Buki, Sheriff of Pike County. I have to say, I've talked with him personally on many occasions, and he's a great sheriff. He does a very good job at being a sheriff, but he is pro-guns. He's pro-common sense, too. And although, like I said, a lot of you gun guys, I know you're going to get kind of a little heated about the whole open carry and stuff, because a lot of you guys are so for open carry, but you back it with, this is my right, and no one has the right to tell me what to do and what not to do, and I completely understand that, and I'm all for that. Trust me, I'm not against open carry, I'm not against being pro-Second Amendment and pro-rights. I just, like the sheriff, use some common sense sometimes. It's not always the appropriate thing to do. That's the best way I can say. Although it is your right to do, it's not always the appropriate thing to do. Once again, referencing my tiny shorts theory. Some people may be uncomfortable with seeing my ass cheeks hanging out of my back of my shorts, as others are uncomfortable with seeing your gun flopping around. And I know the common census here is, well, who cares if they're uncomfortable? This is my right. I don't care what they think. And trust me, there's some dudes walking around with tiny shorts that feel the same way. And you gotta respect it, whether you agree with it or not. Anyway, so there it is. I'm gonna be leaving in a couple minutes, and I'm gonna go down to the sheriff's office and get my permit, and then I'll make my final conclusion to this little video series. So there you have it. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you soon. Take care.